Executive Director of the Town of Hempstead IDA. I am accompanied by the CEO, Frederick Parola.
Good morning.
We will now start reading the hearing notice into the minutes. Notice is hereby given that a public hearing pursuant to Title I of Article 18A of the New York State General Municipal Law will be held by the Town of Hempstead IDA on the 13th day of May, 2020 at 9:30 a.m. Local time in connection with the following matters. As you are aware, this involves 750 Merrick Road LLC, and Denise, you have the public hearing notice.
I have the notice.
Okay, so I'm not going to read the rest just to save everyone a little time.
Okay.
If anyone would like to speak, please clearly state your name and where you're calling from so that the stenographer will get you on record, and every time you speak, please state your name again.
Michael, this is Dan Deegan. Can I speak?
Yep, go ahead, Dan.
Okay, good morning. I just wanted to give a very brief overview of the project and the benefits, and just so it's on the record. So my name is Dan Deegan. I'm representing the applicant here, Storage Deluxe and CubeSmart. As you indicated, this is regarding the property at 750 West Merrick Road in Valley Stream, which is currently a blighted former auto dealership. The project would entail demolishing the existing 7,500 square foot building there and replacing it with a 140,000 square foot brand new commercial storage building. We're talking about a $25 million construction job, probably employing about 120 local construction individuals. We're talking about a proposed pilot that would double the existing taxes from $200,000 approximately to $400,000 over the course of the 10-year pilot term here. We're talking about increasing the payments made to the affected taxing jurisdictions from $1.8 million without the project to $4.4 million with the project. And I want to point out that the mayor and the village board are generally very supportive of the project and the use of this property. This project will serve a underserved area, which is to provide storage, flexible storage for local businesses, and it is geared towards doing so. We think it'll be a very positive development for this property and for the town of Hempstead. And that concludes my remarks.
Thank you, Dan. Would anyone else care to be heard?
Would anyone else care to be heard? Thank you, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
Yeah, I don't know. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Please say your name and where you're calling from.
Okay, this great. Legislative Gaylor, 6th Legislative District.
I'm sorry, your name is? It's a little hard for me to hear you.
Yeah, Legislator Gaylor, Gaylor, William Gaylor.
Morning.
Thank you.
And good morning, everybody. So it sounds like, from what I've reviewed, this is a definitely a positive development for the community. My concern, if you want to call it a concern or question, has to do with the effect of the pilot on the 3 school districts. That means of Valley Stream. I'm concerned about the impact it might have on the school districts that are that feed into the Central High School District, and when we take something off the tax roll, the other school districts then have to pick up those slack to feed into the Central High School. You know, the same situation that happened with the Green Acres pilot, I'm trying to ensure is avoided. So if somebody could explain the impact on the school taxes in particular, and the reallocation of those tax dollars that would normally come in for a taxable property to the school district and then be allocated up to Central High, I'd like to hear some comment on that, if possible.
Sure. So this is Dan Deegan. Let me take a shot at that. So right now, currently, the taxes on this property are about $1.8 million, annually about $200,000 a year. Obviously, this project is not going to produce any more school children, so there's not going to be any additional burden on the school districts. Basically, when the property goes into the pilot and gets completed, we're talking about doubling that revenue, of which the school district probably takes 60 to 70% from about $200,000 a year up to $400,000 a year, ultimately working its way up to close to over $700,000 a year by year 10. So there's more revenue that's being produced that's being fed into the effective taxing jurisdictions. So it should have a net positive impact on the school districts. One of the issues that took place with the Green Acres Mall is that the school districts did not budget the pilot revenue coming in. If the pilot revenue, which is proposed to be paid under this pilot, is properly budgeted, it should not have a negative impact. As a matter of fact, it should have a positive impact in increasing the revenue to the school districts without any additional burden to the school districts in the form of school-age children.
So, I mean, and I understand. So the question is though, once you take it off the tax roll and you make your pilot payment, that $200,000 a year in taxes that was coming in was benefited School District 30. In this case, it would benefit School District 30 predominantly, but then School District 30 would use a portion of those tax dollars to go to feed into the Central High School. When you take the $200,000 off out of the tax revenue stream and you call it a pilot, that pilot money benefits School District 30 and nobody else. It's not my understanding. It's not shared with the Central High School District or the others. And the $200,000 that's off the tax roll has to be made up because the Central High School District, which is a non-taxing school district, doesn't have the authority to tax its residents, but is fed by the 3 school districts. The 3 school districts have to make up that $200,000. So there's a direct impact for the next 10 years on the other 2 school districts out of this area, but that make up the revenue base for the Central High School District. So, do we know if anybody is online here from the other 2 school districts that want to that can provide input or can explain, how they're going to make up this revenue to, which was the whole impact on all of the residents of Valley Stream when we took Green Acres off the tax roll and gave them a pilot. The shortage during the pilot period has to be made up by the other 2 school districts, and we saw people's taxes last year and this year, because it's the second half, which is paid, went up in some instances by $1,100 or $1,200 for Green Acres. So I'm just and maybe we don't know the answer right now, but and we could look into it further. But I'm curious as to what.
Bill Gaylor, this is John Ryan. How are you?
Very good, John. How are you today?
I'm good. Listen, and I'm very familiar with Green Acres.
Yeah.
My understanding, and maybe my understanding is wrong, that the school district should be treating that pilot payment that they get like they treat tax dollars.
Correct.
So if the tax dollars go in and get paid out a certain way, the pilot payment should be treated the same way.
That is
I think the way the state law is written, the pilot isn't counted as though it was taxable dollars, and that was why School District 24, which includes parts of Lynbrook and Valley Stream, and School District 13, which runs all the way up into Franklin Square, those residents felt the impact of the Green Acres pilot. That was the whole uproar. Everybody's taxes were going up to make up the difference to feed into the Central High School.
This is Fred Perola, legislator. That's incorrect. The reason for the Valley Stream debacle was because the Valley Stream School District misappropriated the dollars by putting it into a teacher's fund and not committing it, as John said, to what it should have been to in lieu of taxes. There is no diminution of tax monies to the other districts if the school districts act in the proper way. And that was in the findings of the... Let me finish. That was in the findings of the New York State Comptroller who vindicated the IDA and found that the school district had acted improperly.
This is Brian Phillips, 30. Can you cite me the page of the report that states...
Right now, I'm sorry.
Brian Phillips, Valley Stream 30 School District.
I still didn't get it. I'm sorry.
Sorry. Is there a page or a paragraph where the statement of teacher funding of the pilot is anywhere? Can I find it?
You can start looking. I don't have that in front of me. I haven't looked at it in a year. But it's well established that you didn't put it towards taxes.
I thought you said teacher fund.
I may have mistoken. It was not put towards taxes. It was put into a sequestered fund, which I may be wrong. I thought was related to employment, but it doesn't matter. It went to the wrong area, and that was the reason, the genesis of the whole issue. And they obfuscated, they lied. I don't know if you were part of it. I apologize if you were. And the bad press came against the IDA, which we still resent, because that's a lingering lie that we did not cause the problem.
So, I'm a resident.
Who are you?
Can I have your name, please?
Please identify yourself.
My name is Denise Riggio. So my question would be, what steps have been taken to ensure that that same debacle and that same, problem doesn't occur again as part of this? Because if we don't learn from the past, we're going to repeat it again, and the residents are going to be hit again. And I know my mother lives in that area, and her taxes as a senior went up $1,000 a year. They're fixed incomes; they can't afford it. And now, I drove to that site this morning. That site right now, Honda does have cars all over it, so they're paying something for that site. There are 2 other storage facilities in that area, and my question to who's ever proposing this would be, what is the capacity in this area to absorb yet a third one within a half a mile stretch of land, another storage facility, versus something else that's going to bring in more than 4 jobs post-construction? And then my other question is, what commitments do we have that local construction, if this goes forward, what local residents will gain employment from this project? And if there's no guarantee, then you're talking 4 positions to run a facility post-construction where taxpayers may be hit again for the cost of it. So I'm just trying to understand what the real benefit is to Valley Stream of this, the residents, not 4 jobs that are minimum wage down the road.
Okay, so Ms. Reggio, this is Dan Deegan. I'm the attorney for the applicant. Can I respond? So first of all, yes, Honda does have. This isn't a former car dealership, but it's being used for storage. The property is currently paying $180,000 a year. What we're proposing is to have that number more than double upon completion of construction, so that there will be additional revenue going to all the affected taxing jurisdictions. In terms of the need, this is not a typical self-storage facility. This self-storage facility is geared to provide storage because of the nature of the larger units that are being contemplated to service local businesses. And the market studies, and believe me, they're not making this type of investment without understanding that there is a demand for this and a need for this. So we do anticipate that there will be a big demand for this. Finally, in terms of the benefits, I think given this project is pretty much shovel ready, and we can immediately get these construction jobs going. There will be a legal commitment made to the IDA in writing that there will have to be local, Nassau Suffolk contractors and jobs. So there will be a local labor pool that is used in this project, and that will be a covenant to the IDA.
And how long is the project intended to last?
It should be, I think, 14 to 18 months we're looking at as a construction period.
And how is it impacted by COVID with all the businesses closing down that may have been clients that you were going to depend on for your storage facility revenue? Well,
the intent is that we are going forward with the project, that there's a commitment here that we're down the road, this investment is going to be made, and with hopefully the confidence that the economy is going to recover and there's going to be a continuing demand for this. But the last I've heard from the client is that they're moving forward with this.
So what kind of local businesses would be your typical client?
There's a lot of different types of businesses, and Jonathan Orr, are you on the phone?
Yes, I am there.
Yeah, so Jonathan is with Storage Deluxe. You want to just talk a little bit about the types of businesses that we see as likely users of the facility?
Sure. So my name is Jonathan Orr. So as far as it's Jonathan Orr from Storage Deluxe. So I actually think it's a good question that you raised. I actually think, given the current climate, we anticipate that, obviously no one can predict what's going to happen in the next few months, but as things start to turn around, we believe that at our facility will actually give an opportunity to people that will be trying to recover and come out of this, a cheap and affordable solution for small and medium-sized businesses, most of which will be local, to store with us as they get back on their feet and get back to kind of normal business activity. As far as what kind of people typically store with us, we have a lot of local contractors, we have a lot of plumbers, we have local people that need to store documents. We also have, the local water cooler guy will store their excess inventory. It's a lot of different local sources of labor that have a lot of excess supplies that don't have the means or the method to, go get their own large warehouse somewhere else that would be far more expensive. And we hope that they'll be able to use our facility as a cheaper means of warehousing, and that will allow them to spend any other revenues that they may have in their business to either hire more employees or expand their business and continue to have success locally.
Just for the record, this is Fred Perola from the IDA. Our IDA will not do, unless it's in an impacted area, economically blighted, our IDA will not do those storage facilities that address basically residential type of storage. We will only do those that are related to this particular project, commercial, where it helps existing businesses. I think in the long run, we are certainly impacted by COVID, but I think in the long run, this would be beneficial to the businesses that bounce back as they bounce back from this horrific time in our lives.
So presumably these businesses have not had this kind of access and facility before, so they're already doing something. So has there been any survey of the local businesses to see if they would utilize this in any way?
So, there's a market study. This is Dan Deegan speaking. There has been a market study done by CubeSmart and Storage Deluxe that does show that there is a need based upon a number of different factors. I'm not sure exactly how they did that survey, but I can tell you that they're making a commitment to invest $25 million in the community. That's not being done on a whim. That's being done because there is seen to be a demand for this and a need for this.
Is that market study available to the public?
I do not believe so. That's an internal document. But, the proof is in the $25 million that would be spent on this project and the construction jobs that would be created. They wouldn't do it unless they were seen as a strong market and strong demand. That investment is worth more than words on the paper, I would say, in terms of the proof that there is a demand and that this company is willing to invest this money. And we've gone down the road with the Village of Valley Stream, and we're, very close to getting a building permit. All we need is some certainty as to what the taxes are going to be on this, which is what we're looking for from the IDA. It's going to be a net positive revenue-wise to the affected taxing jurisdictions. It's going to be the removal of a blight and a good-looking building there and service the local businesses. So, with the IDA's help, we can get going on this right away.
Dan, this is Jonathan Orr again. Just high level as part of the study, just so I can put it on the record. What we focused on is the amount of local businesses that are in the surrounding area and national trends of businesses and how often they do need to use some sort of commercial storage. The data that we have used from the National Storage Association and the New York Storage Association anticipates that about 11 to 12% of businesses require some sort of commercial storage need. That said, there are about 200 businesses within the Village of Valley Stream, and there are 1,000 businesses within a 10-minute drive of this proposed facility and approximately 2,000 to 3,000 businesses that are local to the town of Hempstead. So we anticipate that there will be a substantial amount of businesses that have a need for this type of service. And as stated earlier, given the current climate more than ever, we believe that we're going to provide that sort of bridge that allows people to get back on their feet with a cheap solution to their storage needs.
Would anyone else?
I'm still trying to understand. As a resident, I'd still like to understand the answers to William Gaylor's questions in terms of how this is going to impact the schools, the residents, and if their taxes are going to go up for this 10-year period. Like, somebody needs to run those numbers and be sure, because in this economy, the residents, they can't bear the burden of. I don't see how my mother can afford this. Like, she just can't.
Dan, you want to reiterate those numbers, that it's a net increase across the board?
Yes, I mean, so that's the thing. Obviously, it should be, we're talking about this piece of property paying more in revenue to the school district. So the school district will be getting more revenue after this project with the pilot than they do today, more than double. So how that could result in a tax increase on any property owners, would obviously be a failure within the system someplace. My understanding from the state controller was that it was a budgeting issue, and that as long as the tax revenue that's not there is replaced with the pilot revenue that does come in, which is much larger than the tax revenue that was there, that it should have only a net positive impact on the affected taxing jurisdictions, including the school district, which should translate through to the property owners.
So is anyone from the school district on? Have they been advised in any way to make sure that this doesn't happen again?
They did. Someone from School District 30 did speak earlier.
Correct. I was looking for more information also, but it's without the information, it's tough to make a call on this.
And who is that?
Okay,
District 30?
Sorry, it's Brian Phillips, Valley Stream 30 School District.
Brian, I'm sorry, what was your last name?
Phillips, Phillips.
So this is Legislator Gaylor again. What I would like to see is a written analysis of the pilot money and the impact it's going to have on all three school districts that comprise the Valley Stream Central High School feed-in. So that's 13, 30, and 24 I'm talking about. The pilot will, my understanding, once the pilot kicks in, the other school districts will proportionally pick up the $200,000 or 100 and whatever you're paying now, 180, 170, 200,000 would have to pick up proportionally their share of that lost tax dollars because the pilot is not counted as a tax revenue source to feed into the central school district as per the state law. So an analysis has to be done on what the impact will be on school district 13 and 24. And then those residents should be made aware of that so that they know full in advance of this pilot or this project kicking off what the impact is going to be in their school bill a year from now or 2 years from now. It would likely be 2 years from now is when they would see this. So,
Bill Gaylor, this is John Ryan again. I hear what you're saying, but if the school district follows what the New York State Controller said should be done in the audit it did regarding Green Acres, that money will not be treated as non-taxes. That money will be treated as payment in lieu of taxes and allocated the way tax monies are allocated.
No, and I understand that. So, and that's obviously going to be, I'm sure something Mr. Phillips takes back to School District 30. Our comments here today. I'm not so sure that they're required by law to do what the comptroller suggested would be the right thing to do. So I guess the second part of my question is that we, first we give some analysis to that to determine if they did and what would the impact be on the other school districts. Do we have an assurance from the superintendent of School District 30 that they would would treat this as taxable dollars, I guess is the way to say it. I don't want to say anything in a more negative way. But is it possible as part of this project that the town of Hempstead IDA is going to, review and come to a conclusion to specifically state that the pilot dollars can be allocated a third, and a third to the school districts, so we don't have a problem? Can that be written? And I don't know. And maybe
file with the assessor a application for exemption with a 412A form, it's called, which then the assessor will list the property as exempt.
Thank you. And a pilot schedule will be provided to all the school districts, the village, and other jurisdictions?
Yes, most certainly.
Yes.
And will that pilot schedule include the exact amounts that those jurisdictions will receive?
It'll be in the same proportion as the general tax is apportioned now. So if there's $1 million tax for a property and, I don't know, 550,000 of it goes to the school district, that is what the school district would receive, and it alters each year based upon the small changes that occur between the village, the general tax, and the school tax. In terms of this situation with the centralized and the three localized districts, as you heard, we're going to look into that to see if we can get some certainty within the perimeters of the way the pilot works. I hope that's clear.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Is someone I know someone's been asking for everybody's names. Are they taking minutes, and will that be made available to the public?
This is Mike Lodato from the town of Hempstead IDA. Yes, there's a stenographer on the line who's taking minutes, and once she sends those over, those will be uploaded to our website.
Thank you.
Hello?
Yes? Could please state your name?
Yes. Okay. My name is Anne Marie Conzat. And I just have a question. I'm sorry?
Can you spell your last name for me, please?
Yes, Konzet.
Thank you.
I'm a resident of Valley Stream, and I do not live in District 30. I live in District 13. I agree with what the other residents of Valley Stream have been saying about the effect on taxes. It's a very unusual situation that we have in this village. And homeowners are hit very hard with taxes, and especially in District 13, there are fewer commercial properties, let's say, so that the largest portion of taxes assessed in 13 are against residents. So whatever increases happen in the high school district, the residents mostly are going to be pulling that. But I also have a question about, because the use of the storage facility is going to be commercial, and you said there will be large storage areas, and businesses will be, local businesses will be coming back and forth to use that as a ready, storage resource. So will the transfer of goods be taking place well off Merrick Road? And will the coming and going of larger vehicles to accommodate the kind of products that they store there, will those vehicles have access to get in and out of that property without affecting local neighborhood streets?
Yep. So this is Dan Deegan, the attorney. Jonathan, do you want to take a shot at that? I mean, my understanding is this is a very low intensity use, very low traffic generation, and even though we're saying it's geared towards business, it's not like people are operating their day-to-day businesses out of there. It's more of a passive type of storage use. But Jonathan, do you want to address that directly?
Yeah, so we address many of these concerns, and we obviously appreciate these concerns. We address them with the zoning board. So just by the nature of our use, we do many studies at every facility that we have as far as traffic, as we try to be as limited of a burden on the local municipalities as possible in that regard. So for this particular use, we anticipate approximately, at the most, 14 total trips in and out of the facility at a peak hour. So that would be the highest hour that we could potentially have. So in that regard, the traffic is extremely low. And although we do occasionally see bigger trucks that are going to be used for this type of facility, more often than not, the largest type of vehicle that is used is more similar to kind of a box truck that you would see, which is slightly larger than the little minivan that you would see on the street. So as far as traffic, we are an extremely low impact.
And would there be a way for those vehicles to be off Merrick Road? They would not be on the street while they do their loading and unloading.
Correct. All of our loading and parking is going to be on our site.
Okay. Thank you.
If anyone else would like to say anything, otherwise, we've been at this for a little while, and we would close the meeting unless someone else would like to speak. This is Mike Lodato from the Town of Hempstead IDA.
This is Brian Phillips from Valley Stream 30. I just have a question regarding if we're going to the belief of splitting the pilot amongst 3 districts, will the property value that's coming off the roll only of Valley Stream 30 get allocated to all 3 districts, so their property rolls get decreased also?
Can you please repeat
Probably,
that?
I don't think we legally can do that, but we're going to explore language to, as I indicated before, this Fred Parola, to share in some way to mandate that the pilot is treated as taxes, if we can do that. I don't think we can do what you're proposing.
But the property value is only in 30. It's only coming off in 30. So that's really it seems to be one side equation. You're taking the properties off of Valley Stream 30's rolls for the Valley Stream 30 property owners, and then they think the pilot will not just go to Valley Stream 30, even though a share goes to the high school district.
I hear what you're saying. The bottom line is the net is going to be an increase in taxes or payment in lieu of taxes. So however it's worked, I think there's going to be a benefit to the taxpayers in the various districts. We have to explore this.
That's fine. I'll wait for the schedule to come out. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we will explore this because this is territory that's so unique. What are there, 3 consolidated districts in New York State, 2 on Long Island, and you're one of them. So it does create a unique situation for us. But we will do all our power to ensure that we don't hurt any taxpayer in any of the respective local districts.
And again, this is Denise Reggio. We really do appreciate that because, we all benefit from the use of the pool and the park and things like that are within the scheme, but those things are not taxed, right? So while all residents enjoy that, as the other residents said, we in 13 don't have very many commercial properties and pilots, and it really does impact the residents directly. Like it comes out of our pockets to subsidize that, and it's just not sustainable.
Understood, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
If anyone else has anything to say, otherwise, this is Mike Lodato, the Deputy Executive Director of the Town of Hempstead IDA. I am going to close this public hearing sine die. Thank you all for coming and speaking.
That was a wonderful. Thank you for all your input.
You're welcome. Thank you all.
Denise, thank you all. Denise, can you stand for 1 sec? Still there, Denise?
Mike?
Yes.
Were you asking a question?
Denise, are you still there?
She
hung up? Okay. I was just going to give the stenographer when we needed them by, but I'll catch her in a little bit. Thank you.